Hey, what's up, everybody? CG here, and I didn't do a Monday podcast, so I figured I would do a Tuesday podcast, and so here I am. As you guys all filter in, if you would be so kind as to hit the like button, share it out, I would appreciate it. Um, you know, I really enjoy doing these things, and I haven't done one for a little bit, a few days or whatever. So, I am just happy to kind of talk some of this stuff. So there was the stuff about the CPU, which I'm going to be talking about, but there's also quite a bit of other stuff to talk about. So please do your best to like it, share it out, all that kind of good stuff. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that as well. Listen, things are changing. Gaming is always kind of evolving and changing. We don't all necessarily have to like it, or we don't all necessarily like it, but you know, it does sort of change regardless of really what we want. So, listen, I do want to kind of talk about something that I thought was pretty interesting to start off with, which is the Outer Worlds. So the embargo for that, and that game comes out in a few days, actually released today. So if you guys didn't know, this is kind of significant for a few reasons. First, first of all, the Outer Worlds is being made by what's up, 4-star General? Appreciate it. What's up, Fran? I see all you guys. What's up, the finest? Appreciate you. Holomoko, I appreciate you as well, everybody. Hold on. John Vaughn says, crap thoughts on 149, 1 terabyte PS4 Black Friday. Dude, listen, this thing's going to sell like crazy. I said that the PS4 will probably hit 120 million by the time it's all said and done, and that's going to be something that really hits. Hey, Hellspawn, what's up? Outer Worlds isn't out yet. It comes out on the 25th. So, but the reviews came out today. So if you guys didn't know, if you were looking forward to it, it sits at an 86 Metacritic, which is extremely good. Brand new IP, RPG made by the people that made Fallout New Vegas and KOTOR 2 and, the South Park Stick of Truth game. So they have a good quality about them. Now, here's the thing. If this is pretty much how I kind of feared, which is, I'm not like, this isn't quote-unquote fear-monger or anything like this. I've said this all along. This game looks really good if you're a Fallout fan. Okay, if you're a Fallout fan, then this is going to be definitely a game that appeals to you. And so far, all the reviews are saying, hey, it's definitely a Fallout game, in space. It's Fallout Space Cowboy Fallout or whatever. And I think that's perfectly fine because a lot of people like Fallout. And I'm completely cool with that. The other thing is, this is a studio that Microsoft bought. So you want finally a studio that can do some quality games. Now, I wasn't trying to like rain on anybody's parade earlier, but I kind of made it. I was on Twitter. If you guys don't follow me there, at @the_Crapgamer, and I interact with everybody. So I mean, that's something that you have to keep in mind. Now, when it comes to this game, I just mentioned that this is one of the ones that realistically, this game is something that a lot of people are probably going to play on Game Pass for Xbox, and I see a lot of Xbox fans really cheering for this game, right? Hold on. 9Live says, Matt Booty said the sequel will only be on Xbox. Cool. I don't care about this game particularly, right? So that's not really good news for me. I get it if it's something that people really like, cool, but I'm really more interested in something new from them that's not Fallout related or that looks like Fallout. So I do think that this is cool, though, that they get a good score. But I'll say this. Whatever the team is working on next is going to have some kind of multiplayer and some kind of microtransactions. Let's just be real. Everything that Microsoft does now has these things. Okay, even though Microsoft has little input on the creative stuff, I would assume that there are some protocols that they lay with their developers, like, hey, you have to have, some sort of multiplayer, some sort of co-op, something that uses Xbox Live, because one, they want people to spend money on Xbox Live. Two, they want people to be able to spend money on microtransactions. So one of the pet peeves that I've kind of focused on lately with Microsoft, and I know some of you guys might not agree with this, or maybe you will understand what I'm talking about. Some of you guys are maybe familiar with how mobile games sort of take place, right? Like the mobile game I don't mean MOBA like MOBAs. I mean mobile, like phone games and stuff like that, like mobile market. Now, the way that these things work are you have a low entry point, usually either free or $1 or so, right? Sound familiar? $1. What has Game Pass been costing lately? $1. So you have a low entry point for your games, $1 per se, and then you have a lot of microtransactions where you hope to get a quote-unquote whale, which if you don't know what a whale is in gaming terms, it's somebody who spends a lot of money on microtransactions and skins. Now, only 3 out of 10 people spend any money in these type of games, but one of those 3 might end up spending a lot of money in the game to help make up for the cost of everything else. Now, this is something that's been going on with mobile games for a long time now. Now, this doesn't really work in console games, in my opinion, and it's one of the reasons that Gears of War 5 has had a hard time. $20 for 2 skins. Like it used to be, you can buy skin packs in total or a season pass that would include all of that stuff for one price, and now it's like they nickel and dime you. And then you have some Xbox fans who defend it going, well, I only paid $1 for it, so they like defend it. The bottom line is, for me personally, these are still 100% premium games that are being sold for $60. It doesn't matter where you get it from, it's still a premium game, and they're still putting these egregious transactions in them, and I'm not really a fan of them, you know what I mean? So I do think that it's something that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out for them, especially given that we have a 14-month wait until the next AAA exclusive from Microsoft, right? So we do have that bit of a wait, and I'm curious to see what they do with Halo. Now, Halo is a franchise that I really, really like in terms of what it's always been, but I've always been more of a Halo single-player game, which is why I was so disappointed with Halo 5. And, you know, it's easy to sit there and go, oh, well, you know, they're really taking their time with this one, and I really hope that's the case, right? They're taking their time with them, and they're doing this or they're doing that. I like the fact that they're doing that stuff. The main problem that I have is, if I do decide to hop in the multiplayer, am I going to be laden with a ton of microtransactions and, you know, cards and packs and this kind of stuff? Like, I hate that extra stuff. I feel like that stuff really cheapens the games and ruins it for me. Now, listen, here's the thing. Forza Motorsport. I'm a huge Forza Motorsport fan. I like that franchise. Forza Motorsport 6, really, really good. When you get into Forza Motorsport 7, though, even though they weren't microtransactions that you paid money for, I thought that the whole loot chest stuff to get packs and all this I thought that was really lame and really hampered the fun of the game. And again, they took some lumps on that game, right? They ended up not exactly putting out the game that people wanted. They spent extra time fixing it. It launched kind of bare bones with content, and now they're taking an extended longer period of time to make the next game in the series. That makes sense to me. But with all the trouble that, if you look at the time when they did that, was at a time when EA was getting in a lot of trouble for Star Wars Battlefront 2 packs and paying the win and all this kind of stuff. Microsoft pulled the idea of microtransactions off of like Sea of Thieves, which I guess they're back, or they're coming back, where you can buy stuff for your characters or whatever. And, you know, the problem that I have with this, again, is full price games. Like, I paid $60 for Sea of Thieves. Like, I know that it's on Game Pass day and date and all that stuff, but I still buy my games, and I paid $60 for this game, and it comes with, you know, it's going to start having microtransactions. Now, for me personally, I've abandoned that game a long time ago, but at the same time, it's just kind of weird to see that all of Microsoft's games, no matter how big, no matter if they're full price or not, tend to have these, like, microtransactions and stuff like that. So I really hope that they kind of fix that in the future and decide, you know, what's more important for them. You know, I hope that they can understand that and sort of do that. Hey, everybody that's watching, please hit the like button, share it out. I would appreciate it. Maybe we can get up to over 100 likes. I would think the world of you guys if you could do that. You know, it's just one of those things. I try to reach that 100 mark as soon as possible because it really helps out the channel. Let's see. Hold on. 9Life says, why don't you mention the Gears 5 DLC and maps will be free? Hey, I think that's cool, but everybody's already off that game for the most part, man. It's already out of the top 20, and what DLC are you talking about? Because there's no single-player DLC, and the maps should be free. Like, you couldn't get away with doing that anymore, because even Call of Duty maps are free. Like, you have to pay attention to how that is. Rosenkrantz says Gears 5 is full of microtransactions. Xbox is desperate. Like, they're making money is the thing. Like, it really depends on how you look at it. They're making money, but I just think that it's one of those things where at what cost, right? Like, just how long are we going to say, oh, well, it's only $1. I only paid $1 for that. Like, how long does that actually hold up? You know, that would be the thing that I say. You know, like, that's not really an argument for all these microtransactions and stuff like that, in my opinion. And it really is kind of unfortunate when we keep seeing this kind of stuff happen over and over again, where we're getting like these full premium games and they're just have so many microtransactions and stuff like that. So if you want to look at it, it's like if you look at Sony's and Nintendo's, they're not laden with microtransactions and things like that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like not everything has to copy each other, but Microsoft, who has so much money, why are they so obsessed with putting transactions in like all of their games? It just doesn't really make sense to me. And I think that Microsoft can definitely do better going forward. And I really do hope, you know, I really do hope that that's something that does happen sooner rather than later, just because, like I said, I would like to see them, you know, they're rich. I mean, let's be real. Microsoft has a ton of money. Why do they got to do that? Half Pint says Halo is going to be a games as a service a la Destiny. Only way they can recoup that money. If it's true that they are going like that games as a service route for the next Halo, then that's sort of unfortunate. You know, I don't think, like, I personally don't want to do dailies and stuff like that on Halo. I did watch Jim Sterling's video, and I thought it was very interesting, and I pointed that out to somebody that he did that video, and, you know, people obviously don't like it. It really calls out Microsoft and some of the things that they've done. So hopefully that's something that, you know, people can kind of stumble across in their own kind of time or whatever. It was just a very interesting look at things, because while it is kind of scathing against Xbox, it's also very honest, and so that's going to be something that people are very, you know, it's tough to swallow. It's a tough pill to swallow for people. So Ned Flanders says Microsoft can't put free-to-play games in Game Pass, but that's what they want, so you either pay for Game Pass or you pay premium for a free-to-play game. This is something that I was saying also, right? This is why the dollar thing is exactly like the mobile setup. $1 for your entry point, and then they want you to spend money on microtransactions or paying for, obviously, continuing to pay for your subscription service or continue to pay for Xbox Live. Like, that's how they really want it. Rosenkrantz says Gears 5 even makes you pay for Terminator Dark Fate advertising character. Yeah, I think it's $20 for those, right? Social Join says, so what happens if Outer Worlds sell well on PS4 and outsells Game Pass Xbox? Are the studio going to keep the sequel to Xbox and lose to Sony money? Seems like poor business. Well, Microsoft owns the studio, so I guess it really kind of depends on what their plan is to do there. So, you know, like I said, it really sort of depends. I have heard two different things. Now, Matt Booty, who is the head of Xbox Game Studios, did an interview with Game Informer and sort of hinted around that possible sequels could be, you know, exclusive to Xbox, which cool. Like I said, I'm not interested in this game at all. But at the same time, I know if it is good and there's a lot of Fallout fans, that could be big for Microsoft to get a game that's actually kind of surpassed the recent Fallout games and had that exclusive to your platform. So they could actually technically work on two games. They can continue to work on Outer Worlds, and that could be exclusive, and then also another RPG, and that could be exclusive. Those would be big wins for Microsoft, right? And I can see that actually helping, you know, Xbox next generation tremendously. Again, you're probably 4 or 5 years away from getting either of those things. They haven't even shipped this game out yet. And then you start another one, they could probably have a sequel done in 3 to 4 years, and then a new IP in 4 to 5 years. So, you know, 2024, something like that, you'll probably see things come together. But again, that's been one of my big problems as well. You'll kind of see that. But Matt Booty has said that, has hinted at that. He didn't flat out say, yes, the next one will be exclusive. Whereas, and I wish I knew who this person was, from last E3, somebody that watches the show sometimes, and he DM'd me on Twitter even, but I can't find it, this interview that the head of Obsidian had, and this was after Microsoft bought him, where he was talking about a potential sequel, and he said that the sequel was tied in with their deal with 2K, and that they would have to put the sequel on PlayStation as well. So again, I'm not sure who to believe here. Like, I haven't been able to refine that interview. It was like a particular timestamp towards something, but if they did actually have to put the game on, PlayStation again, that basically means that it hampers your exclusive content for next generation. Will it make Microsoft money if this is a runaway hit? Yes. I mean, Microsoft likes to make money, and obviously they have that Game Pass mentality that, not just Game Pass, but that Minecraft mentality, right? Like, Minecraft probably really opened them up for a for that thirst, that hunger for for those games to be like full on multi-plat or whatever, and you make much more money that way. And there's this thing going around on Twitter right now that lists like the top publishers in gaming, and Xbox I think was at 10 billion and PlayStation was at like almost 17 billion, and this was from 2018, mind you, so a year when Microsoft didn't really particularly have much. I think like a Forza Horizon game, and maybe was Sea of Thieves that year, maybe State of Decay too, I don't know, but mostly you'd figure that a lot of that came from Minecraft being on literally every platform: phones, Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, PC. It's just constantly in the top 10 on MPD every single month. It's just a big kind of thing, and that has a life of its own, and it's no wonder Microsoft almost paid $3 billion for it, because it makes money. So this is something that they probably like. But the problem is, not every single thing is Minecraft, right? To be honest with you, not everything is going to do well being on all these different platforms. Okay, a good example that I like to give is Crackdown 3 could be on what? Crackdown 3 could be on, PlayStation, Switch, everything, right? And it doesn't really mean that it's going to sell better, to be honest with you, because that game is not good. Now, a good game, or something that has a hitch to it, like a Minecraft that just attracts people, can definitely do something that for Microsoft versus, say, a game like Crackdown 3. So putting everything on everything doesn't necessarily mean you're going to sell a ton more, right? Look at Titanfall 2. Titanfall 1 way outsold Titanfall 2, and Titanfall 2 was on PlayStation and Xbox and PC, whereas Titanfall 1 was just on Xbox and PC, and we can see how that kind of worked out. If you guys are just joining me, please hit the like button, share it out. I would appreciate it. We can get up over 100 likes. I would definitely think the world of you guys. I try to get there as quickly as possible because it really helps the channel out, and it just really would mean a lot to me if you guys could do that as well. I'm going to be taking some questions and stuff as we go along as well, but I didn't get to do a show yesterday, unfortunately, but I am going to do one today, and hopefully it can really help out or whatever. So just at me if you guys see a if you guys have a question or something like that you would like me to answer. I don't mind it. 9 Live says, crap, you said Phil gave you depression. Stop it. Listen, that's not a lot. I mean, I already had it, like, technically. I mean, there's no real sense in hiding that, but Xbox in general, you tend to lose if you guys don't know anything about depression or whatever. And I know it's like something that people will probably like poke fun at because it's easy to do that on the internet, but the reality is most people have some sort of form of that. And so for me personally, Xbox did play its part in that. You know what I mean? It was just so bad, and I'm doing this for fun, and and their executives are steamrolling me, and you know what I mean? And they're continually lying and getting hopes up and stuff like that. And I don't think you understand the level of, and we're adults here for the most part, I guess. But I don't think you understand the level of hurt that, getting your hopes up for something good year after year, show after show, and then it just being a letdown completely, man, that stings, right? I'm a grown man, and I got to tell you, that stings. Hearing Phil talk about stuff and say, hey, we're going to do this or we're going to do that, and then, pull the rug out from under you, it definitely stings. And I got to say, I'm not ashamed to admit that, I've had my fair share of ouchies, from Microsoft. And so, yeah, it definitely didn't help any. and it's something that kind of has killed some of my momentum for Xbox and some of my love of Xbox, and I've been very vocal about that. So I'm not ashamed of that at all, you know. So hopefully they can get stuff together. I think they have some decent studios. Like I said, I couldn't care less about Compulsion Games, Undead Labs, Double Fine, or In Exile, right? Those studios, to me, they're nothing. Like, they're gonna make little small games that, you know, who cares? Obsidian was one that I thought had a really big chance at doing something nice. Also, Ninja Theory, there's a potential there for something nice. You also have the Initiative. They obviously have a ton of great talent there, and they could do something extremely nice. So those three in particular, and then Playground Games, they're doing Fable. So you have a potential there for 3 or 4 of these studios to do something really, really good. That's what I'm excited about. I couldn't care less about the ones that I mentioned earlier because I'm not a real, like you can just tell In Exile is a pickup that Microsoft made for like PC gaming. You can just kind of tell that, like, they really care about the PC gaming side of things. Excuse me. You know, they really kind of did that to a piece that they do, like those isometric style games, and those just really aren't my bag. You know, those aren't really the things that I really care about. But you know, I understand not everybody cares about the same stuff. Let's see. Zeno, Music Gamer, he says, go to sleep, stop your hate videos. These aren't hate videos, man. I'm just talking about Xbox here. I'm really sort of going out of my way to be as honest and forthright as I can about where my mindset is. Joseph says, I'm sorry, Crap, but I feel the hype for PS5 is going to be much of a letdown in terms of the power, game, and specs. I really feel undermining what Microsoft is doing is going to shock us all. Listen, I don't know, you know, like, we'll have to see how that stuff goes. I really think that, you know, I really think that Sony has not dropped the ball at all recently. So I would be surprised if they did. Matthew B says, who made Flight Sim 2020? I have no idea. R says, with next gen starting so powerful, will there still be a pro upgrade versions? I don't know. I have no idea. Something tells me that probably not. And I actually kind of think that we shouldn't. Like, start off with the best you can do and then just let that kind of ride for the entire generation. Because if you look at what's going on this generation, the Pro and the X are consoles that the least amount of people have. So most people have the base Xbox or Xbox One S or the base PS4 or PS4 Slim. So I think if you just start off with something incredible next gen, we'll get it. 4-Star General says, what's your thoughts on reports about Death Stranding actually being very good? I'm avoiding spoilers. You know what I mean? But I've heard very, very good things about the game, and I hear that what we've seen so far hasn't even begun to touch on what they're kind of bringing to the game. Did I ever buy that Xbox doll? No, I didn't. Neo Geo says, Halo Infinite Prozac Edition. Oh, man. That's interesting. 9Live says, each of the Xbox studios have multiple teams working on different projects. That's true. Like, well, I would say 343 doesn't. The Coalition doesn't. Turn 10 doesn't. Playground Games has 2 teams. They're working on the next Horizon and Fable. Ninja Theory is working on Bleeding Edge and something else. The Initiative, I'm not sure if they're working on 1 or 2 things. I'm going to guess with 1. Obsidian is working on a few things. Mostly, though, you have to keep in mind that a lot of these studios, like even a studio on Sony side, like Naughty Dog, they're working on, you know, The Last of Us 2, but they probably have a small group working on the next game, and that's that's probably like what Obsidian's doing. So they have 3 teams, but like 98% of their teams are working on, or their members are working on the Outer Worlds. Then you have some working on Pillars of Creation DLC, and then probably some just started to outline their next game. Right, so that's how it works. In Exile is working on Wasteland 3 and something else. And then you have, like, Double Fine. They're working on a couple of different things. Psychonauts 2 and I think another multiplatter 2. So, yeah, it's like these things have multiple different teams, but are they actually going to be doing, like, are they ever going to see the light of day? I'll give you a good example of this, okay? So, Lionhead Studios last generation used to have multiple things working at the same time, right? But all we ever really saw was Fable, because the other game, and you can look this up, all the other games would get canceled before they even saw the light of day. So you just have to kind of keep that in mind as well, that, you know, while it is true that these studios can have multiple things working at the same time, a team like Compulsion is probably just working on one. They're a smaller team, and and that's just kind of how it is. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or anything like that. I'm just saying that it's pretty clear that these teams have a certain amount of people that are doing stuff. If you look at Ninja Theory, they supposedly have a 75-person team with 30 people working on Bleeding Edge. That leaves 45 people for their other project. What does that mean? I don't know. It means that their other project probably isn't a full-out AAA game. And if you listen back to what Matt Booty said in that Game Informer interview, he specifically said that they want Ninja Theory to do Ninja Theory-style AA games like Hellblade. And that's good for Game Pass. Like, don't let it be mistaken that Microsoft doesn't want Game Pass to continue to have these type of games. Not only that, but to be quite honest with you, Phil Spencer doesn't really care about exclusives, right? Like, I know that's something that people probably don't want to hear, but that's just the truth. Look, people really have a way to blow smoke for Phil, right? So basically what I'm talking about is this. I see on Twitter, everybody's like, thank you, Phil. You gave us Outer Worlds for Game Pass for $1. Incredible. So Phil's like, thinks he's vindicated, off the hook for not having exclusive games, right? This is a problem. You could be excited for Outer Worlds, I get it, but no way, shape, or form should this be a replacement for exclusive content on our platforms, right? This is a multi-platform game. Just because Microsoft owns the studio doesn't mean anything to me, right? Exclusives mean stuff to me. It's why I buy different consoles. It's why we all buy different consoles. We buy Nintendo platforms for Nintendo exclusives, PlayStation platforms for PlayStation exclusives, Xbox platforms for Xbox exclusives. So at the end of the day, I refuse to vindicate them or praise them for, having a game on Game Pass, because I don't particularly care about Game Pass. Like, I have it till 2022, but I don't even use it. I've never even used it. So we'll see. And I'm definitely not into the hey, what's up, TLR9? I appreciate you here as well. I'm just not into Fallout games, and Space Fallout doesn't look like it's going to have my interest in particular. But as you guys are all joining in here, as we get up to almost 270 watching, please get me over 100 likes. I would appreciate that. Outer Worlds is 86 Metacritic. Yeah, can you believe this? Outer Worlds, the most of reviews are on PS4. That's very interesting to me. Dog of War says Undead Labs is depressing because if it was a Sony studio, they would pump money into them, and State of Decay 3 would be AAA. No faith in Microsoft doing that. Listen, maybe they can. I don't know, but it seems to me like they mismanaged State of Decay 2. It could have been a really good game with a really good story and stuff like that, but why kind of launch it the way it was? Like, it just didn't seem like it was launched very well, in my opinion. Hold on. I heard you got the Xbox doll and took back the shop because they said to keep. Oh, come on, man. That's not right, Matthew B. No, I don't have Xbox dolls, man. That's let's see. Mark Hugh Man says, crap, I think Xbox went in with good intentions, but a lot of bad follow through, not the games. I think Scalebound, that situation. Yeah, I mean, look, it could be a very interesting thing to see how that comes out for them. Listen, you've got to have games. Like, to me, it just feels like, Phil Spencer took him a long time to understand that gamers want big exclusive games. I was having this argument with Mooch today, okay? I know a lot of you guys and it's not a disrespectful argument or like a bad argument, but he is like, Stadia, right? And he's going to play Stadia, I guess, on business trips or whatever, and I'm like, hey, that's cool, but the bottom line is this. Google Stadia, they want you to use that instead of PlayStation, instead of Xbox, instead of your PC, right? They want that to be like your living room setup, okay? My problem with this is, why don't we have the same energy for them and their lack of exclusives as we have for any other body that had a lack of exclusives, right? Like, they're literally launching with no exclusive. They have one studio that I can see. And you're years away from having any kind of games for that. So, yeah, I definitely think that, Stadia is kind of DOA. And, I just feel like, it's just one of those things where it is a little bit sort of unsettling to see that people are like, oh yeah, like I was surprised that Mooch is all in on this, or that anybody really, because if you look at what these game streaming is all about, I think the industry wants us to go this way, right? And what I mean by that is, think about what this means for them. They don't have to print any more discs. They don't have to use any brick and mortar stores. They get 100% of the profits. You can't trade your game in. You can't share your game with somebody. You can't sell your game to anybody, right? You can't mod your game. You can't illegally download that game. Like, of course they want streaming to be the only way we play. Will that ever happen? I sort of doubt it, because the one-to-one controls just aren't there. But make no mistake, this is what they want. You know, they don't want us to be able to download our games and play our games and stuff like that, because it doesn't make them money and we can trade it. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. Yeah, so they obviously want this to happen this way, right? Whereas me and a lot of you guys are of the mindset that, hey, we like our games. You know, some of us like mods, some of us like the ability to play offline or whatever. And I think that should always be a thing, that, you know, there's licensing issues and stuff like that. It's one of those things that, you know, genuinely happens at sort of the worst time. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't expect it. So I really hope that we don't have streaming. I hope that, it sounds harsh when I say I hope it flops. I just hope that it doesn't do good in terms of being able to take over for what we have with consoles and stuff like that. And with that being said, I've already kind of predicted that Stadia will be gone in a couple of years. If Google was truly all in on Stadia, they would have spent some money in those deep pockets to get some exclusives or make some waves and stuff like that. And I just feel like the fact that they didn't do that really kind of shares and tells you everything you need to know about where their mindset is at with the future and stuff like that. So I do think that Stadia is going to have an incredibly rough time, but I also think that it could be, you know, a bit of an interesting situation. Hey, we're almost up to 300 people. Please hit the like button. Very much would like to get to over 100 likes. Hold on. Sully. Oh, man. What's up, Sully? Happy birthday, my friend. It was your birthday the other day. Make sure you guys all wish Sully a happy birthday. Sully says, on the other note, I can say that the budget for State of Decay 3 has been increased significantly from what I was told. Yeah, Sully, you're right. They did. Let's hope that they... Here's the thing, Sully. I know I give you a lot of crap for liking State of Decay 2, and that's just really just jokes. But I like State of Decay 1. And I actually kind of liked the start of State of Decay 2. It had a lot of bugs and issues and stuff, but why did the story, like, go from having, like, chapters and stuff like that to just being random events? And then why can't my game progress when I'm in Mooch's game and vice versa? Like, and why was it so laggy and stuff, and host-based and tethering and all that kind of stuff? Like, this is Microsoft with Azure. Like, I don't understand why they have a game that's, you know, that they own, and it's like that. So I'm hoping, what I was really hoping for, Sully, was a game like Days Gone, that looks like Days Gone on PlayStation 4, but is still the micromanaging with a good story and stuff like that. That's what I was hoping for. What the Fudge Gaming, I like that name, by the way. He says, watched the interview with Ninja Theory 2 years ago, Game Informer, about Hellblade. During the interview, they revealed that they are working on 4 games. We know of one of them. Well, supposedly, the other ones was VR, dude. They made a VR game. And I think they're making another VR game and then also a single-player game. So we kind of know what they're making. They're making one single-player game, and they're also making some VR stuff. I know they released a VR game, like Darth Vader or something like that, but it's not a PlayStation VR game, so I don't really know exactly what that's also going to be. Elementa Pino says they are claimed State of Decay 2 is going to be AAA. Yeah, those tweets are floating around where they're like AAA all the way. Like, I didn't, you know, like, to me, obviously, that's not AAA. I really do hope that they can kind of get their stuff together and get their act together for that, though, because I think that there's something there, but you have to do it right. And I feel like the way that they did it, also, like, that frame rate was really bad. I don't know if it's that engine or what, but the frame rate was really bad. It was really janky, and I just feel like it just wasn't a well put together. Now, I've heard, to Sully's credit, that they really did do a good job with the DLC, the Heart of Darkness or whatever that is, some kind of DLC that really was kind of story based or whatever. So, you know, we'll have to see how that kind of works out or whatever. Swiggity says Stadia does have two things going for it: affordable plans and Google's own data centers. Well, listen, Google already had data centers, right? So that's not really costing them anything extra. That's one of my points, actually. As you guys all get in here, can you guys please hit the like button and get me to 100 likes? I'd appreciate it. Like, that's why I'm saying they're not really spending as much money as people would think. It's like this controller that's only on Wi-Fi to start, which is a big loss in my opinion, and it's not, I don't think, on phones or anything right away. So they kind of rushed it. They don't have a big launch lineup. They don't have a big launch exclusive or anything like that. So yeah, I'm really gonna say that that's a big problem for them. I'll be interested to see how that sort of works out for them. How that works out for them. Matthew B says, yeah, trying to show crap how much ahead Xbox is in many areas. Listen, Forza is a really good franchise. Like I said, the Motorsport series took a step back. Forza Horizon series took a step back with 4, in my opinion, but 3 might be the greatest racing game of all time. Then they really turned 4 into a games as a service. Outside of that, Gears of War is dead to me. We'll see how the next Halo goes. If they put a bunch of like daily things in there and make it like Destiny, then Halo's dead to me as well. Right, like Halo isn't about that. It doesn't need a bunch of microtransactions and daily things to do, and games as a servicey types of things to do. Like, you got, just make a good Halo game, okay? And hopefully they can do that. Xeno Music says all Xbox studios hiring to make AAA games. Not true at all. Microsoft has already commented that they want AA games in Game Pass to help fill out the slate with AAA games as well. So there is a little bit of sort of all that stuff in there as well. Let's see. I just give State of Decay 2 a try, but have so many games right now in Game Pass, but loving the choice. Listen, hey, that's good on you, man. Like, make sure, like, the cool thing about the Xbox games is they stay in there forever, supposedly, so that's cool. The multiplats don't. So that's something that you have to watch out as well. Cruel Wrath 2 Game says the only people leaving Xbox, the casuals, that we don't need them. No, actually the casuals are what Microsoft is after. They want the people that join Game Pass for $1 and then spend a bunch on microtransactions and stuff like that. So, how did I overcome the motion sickness of PSVR? Well, it depends, right? Like, there's some games that I can't play. First of all, like that Luge game that's in VR Worlds, I can't play that because it feels like I'm going to crash into something. So I get a little bit of motion sickness in that. It depends. I think it's the some games I happen to get a little bit of motion sickness. So Dion London says, get out of here, crap. Forza Motorsport 7 and Forza Horizon 4 are the best in the series and franchises. I disagree with you. Forza Motorsport 6 is the best in the Motorsport series. It was a lot more fun. It didn't have dynamic weather, but everywhere else, like, wasn't relying on boxes and stuff like that. As for Forza Horizon, if you go back and look at Forza Horizon 3, not only was it the best, but it had a real focus on the event itself. And Forza Horizon 4, they changed it, and that made it about stupid avatars and dances and outfits and daily things to do. You know what I mean? Like, they really turned it into, if you don't know what games as a service is, that's exactly a prime example of it, right? Get your daily prize wheel by doing your daily challenges, right? Like, that's the stuff that I'm not really a big fan of. Like, it's a racing game. It doesn't have to be a fully connected all the time game. And that's why, in my opinion anyway, Forza Horizon 3 is far superior than Forza Horizon 4. I'm not saying that 4 is a bad game. I'm just saying that Forza Horizon 3 is probably the best racing game in the series, in the world maybe. And Forza Horizon 4 is very much that online connected kind of world that Microsoft wants everybody to be in, like, all the time, and I'm not really down with that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the one that I spent the most amount of time with. Like, I know what I like. I love this series. I look forward to that series every other year. And with this one, it's like there's almost no focus whatsoever on the actual Horizon Festival at that one, right? It's like, get to level 10 dirt racing, get to level 10 mud racing, get to level 10 street racing. You know what I mean? But there's very little to do with the actual festival like there normally would be. And so that's the problem that I have with it. And hopefully, like, that explains it a little bit more. Also, like, why do we need avatars and dances and outfits? like that's super casual stuff. Do you not understand that? Like that's what I'm talking about. Like daily events, right? Get your daily events. They're making it like Destiny, and I don't like Destiny. Not everything has to be a games as a service. That was a great racing game. Why did they have to go and like make it into like this conglomerate of online multiplayerness, right? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm saying it's not in line with those first game, or the first three. The three in particular is a game that I just feel was absolutely a tremendous game, and maybe the best racing game of all time. They recycle assets, they quickly slap together. Yeah. Xbox Pope says, has PS5 got any launch titles? Crap. No, we don't know anything confirmed yet for sure. The only thing we have confirmed for Xbox is Halo, which who knows how that goes. I wouldn't be surprised if they delayed it with all the people leaving, but at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for them. Simply put, they have Game Pass to think about throughout that first full year. If you have 4 games, various AAA, even AA or whatever, if you have 4 games, do you put them all out at the launch, or do you sort of wait and have them scattered throughout the launch year? Like that's the thing that I kind of question in my own opinion, right? Like, do you put competition with Halo, right? Do you do that, or do you just wait and scatter them out? Because I do feel like they'll announce a Forza Motorsport game next E3, but I also feel like they're going to announce that and then it's going to come out like the next year, 2021, at some point. So I don't feel like we're going to get I don't feel like we're going to get Forza Motorsport at launch. I think we'll get it sometime the following year, and then that'll be in Game Pass to give it a jolt a few months after the launch of the Xbox. And then I feel like they'll continue to they have to continue to kind of do that. But I do feel like for the next few years, Microsoft is going to be heavily reliant on those smaller AA games coming out of these studios, and the Gears, Forza, and Halo again. Whether or not we get a new Gears is debatable in my opinion. So this is what I think. I think we'll get a Gears of War again some point down the line. But hear me out. Some point down the line, we'll get another Gears of War. But the big problem that hold on, and I'll get into this real quick. Mogwee says there are hold on, let me see this. Somebody said this. Okay, Mark Man says all the dancing and avatar stuff is Fortnite, Destiny type of stuff. This is exactly the thing that I kind of want to get a point across with Gears of War as well. Gears of War added emotes and all this kind of weird stuff, right? Like that's very casualized stuff, right? For a very hardcore game. Like Forza Horizon is a great hardcore racing game. You know what I mean? I understand that it's more of an open world, kind of less hardcore than the Motorsport series, but you don't need all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Nine Live says, why do you think a AA game can't be good? I don't think that AA games can't be good. I think when you haven't had a new AAA exclusive announced since 2015 and your next AAA exclusive is 14 months away, you've dropped the ball and you need to do better for your fans. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're doing bad or that they can't do anything good whatsoever. I'm just saying that what they're really going to have to do is you have to have that AAA. Listen, maybe you guys didn't understand what I'm trying to say, but you bookend your AA's with AAA's, meaning if you're going to launch a AA, launch it between Halo and some other a new AAA IP. If you're going to have a State of Decay, launch it between a Forza and another AAA IP, right? Do it the way Sony does it. You know, they had Days Gone, and they also launched, Judgment, and they'll have Shenmue 3, and they'll have, Concrete Genie, and and then they also have the AAA new IP with Death Stranding. So you got to bookend your stuff a little bit, whereas Microsoft has completely only done like AA stuff for a number of years. Like Halo Wars is like a AA game. ReCore is a AA game. State of Decay 2 is a AA game. Even Crackdown 3 might even be considered a AA game. Some people think that Sea of Thieves is a AA game. Like, I think it's a little bit more than that, but again, it's clearly also, I don't really look at Sea of Thieves as a huge AAA game, that's for sure. So maybe somewhere in between. It really just comes down to what people are kind of more interested in. So that kind of depends. Let me see here. Everybody hit the like button. We are doing fantastic today. Crappy Tuesdays. Happy to be here. Over 300 watching. We are 8 likes away from 100 likes. Thank you guys so much. Javier says crap is all trash talk on Xbox. Not really. I think Xbox will be fine. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll get into this. Yeah, Xbox Pope says, I think Gears will have a long break. Listen, this is the thing, Pope, and this is not hate because this was my favorite franchise, but I'll get into exactly why I think that. Just look at what happened to Gears of War, okay? And I mentioned this stuff months ago, and I ended up being right, and people will still act like I'm wrong or I was a fearmonger. So listen, this is exactly what happened to Gears of War. Microsoft went that mobile game route with it, where they wanted everybody to play it for $1. Think about this. Gears of War 5, in its first week, only managed to get 3 million players across PC and console. They gave it away for $1. Gears Pop, in its first week, had 1 million players. Okay? So, a hardcore, Microsoft's second biggest franchise, $1 billion franchise, could only garner 2 million more than a Pop game on a phone. Okay? And both of them are about the same price. I think the Pop game is free but full of microtransactions. Gears of War 5 was $1 but full of microtransactions. And I can tell you exactly why it's failing. Again, we haven't heard any news since the launch week of 3 million players. People look at $1 as you get what you pay for. So again, it's a situation where a lot of people didn't want to bother. You also have 3 crappy new characters that can't hold a candle to the originals. Not only that, but the multiplayer, which is what people stick around for, was ruined. And you go look at the forums, on the Gears forums, the official Gears forums, the number one complaint is people do not want to have crossplay with PC on the arcade mode. It should be an option to disable. People are leaving the game. But Microsoft is oblivious. They never respond to this or close the threads out, okay? Not only that, but Gears is a game of skill. They gave it's way too forgiving for noobs. The problem is, noobs aren't going to stick around because it's still a hardcore game, okay? They changed the shotgun dynamic. Gears always has been, and always will be, or should be, a Nasher type game, right? You get that active reload bonus, and you have power increase, and then you go, and it's a Nasher fight. That's Gears of War. I'm sorry, it is. When you try to casualize that by taking out the active reload for power bonus and stuff like that, the only thing that you're really doing is pissing off the hardcore that stick around. The casuals were never going to stick around in that game. And that game launched 5 weeks ago, and it's already out of the top 20 played games on Xbox. It's already out of the top most played Game Pass games. Like, that game has completely flopped and faltered. It came in at number 7 on the NPD, the lowest ever. Like, that game they went out and they tried to casualize it for who knows whatever reasons, and it backfired on them. And now, like, mark my words, this is my prediction, and you guys I know a lot of people like to save this type of stuff. Rod Ferguson, the head of Coalition, he's going to quote unquote retire within the next year from the Coalition, and then sometime after that it'll come out that the Coalition is working on a new IP. Right? I'm not saying they'll never revisit Gears of War, but it's clear through multiple things that franchise no longer carries the weight that it once did. Like, that game used to sell 3-4 million at launch, okay? Like, the first 3 combined for 27 million units sold. Like, that tells you how far that game has slid. And unfortunately, maybe this is like Microsoft's culture or something, but they changed it from they're like ashamed of it from being a dude bro shooter, right? Like, it had a cool story, but it was just these dude bros having fun, you know, killing locusts and stuff like that, and that was fun. And now it's like they have, you know, Kate Diaz on a commercial with some kind of chick rocker in the background singing, and it's just her by herself. It was always about, like, the brotherhood and, like, your team and doing it for each other, and now they made her like the central focal point, and again, people didn't respond well to that. I'm sorry. So yeah, they need to shelve that for a little bit, come out with something brand new, and I think that that's something that could actually happen. Do I like the metal cases some games come with? Yeah, I love metal cases and stuff like that. I think it's really cool. Geraldo says, crap, even PS AA games look better than AAA Xbox games. I think some of them can. It depends on the art style, right? Like, I like the Concrete Genie art style. I think that's cool. But like, we don't really know, like, when are they going to come out with somebody. So Dog of War says, ending of Gears 5 calls for another. I think they'll make a new IP after Gears 6. I hope they wait on making Gears 6. I hope they wait. Well, I covered that rumor 9 lives about Coalition helping to make Perfect Dark, supposedly a reboot or whatever, but who knows? Supposedly it might be a third-person cover-based type thing now, and they have some experience with that, but I'm not really sure exactly if that's something that's going to come to fruition or not. I would hope so, but again, I think they should make just something new IP. I would love to see them make a new IP and get something out there for fans that we've never seen before. Matthew B says, Gears community is massive. It's not really massive, though. Go look at the forums. People are leaving the game because of what's going on there. So, again, it's not as massive as you think, and a lot of people are very upset with what's going on there. Mark Man says, crap, that is all media right now with women taking the forefront is the agenda. Listen, I'm not even saying women can't be in games or the lead of games or whatever. Like, when I played Mass Effect, I was like a female shepherd. I think that's fine, but why be ashamed of the dude bro game that you have, right? It was built on that, and then you completely change it. I feel like that's a mistake, and I feel like that's something that Microsoft kind of messed up with. And hopefully, like, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with women in general in gaming. I'm just saying that they maybe changed a little bit too much to kind of sway that way, and not everybody's on board with that. So, I mean, we'll have to see how that kind of pans out. Again, I'm not saying 100% for sure that it's like something that I feel, but it is very interesting to sort of pay attention to that. The Noob of Game says, Phil just ignores Killer Instinct types after millions of fighting gamers begged him for it. This is something that I really said not too long ago as well. Microsoft is all talk. People love Phil Spencer, right? Listen, people love Phil Spencer. Don't ever kid yourself. They really do love Phil Spencer. But if you think about it, and I bring this up a lot of times, right? Why is it that people think Phil Spencer has done so many great things for Xbox, and yet when it comes to games themselves, he's delivered 0 games that people have asked for? Okay? He's delivered absolutely 0 games that people have asked for. People ask for a sequel to Sunset Overdrive, a sequel to a sequel to Quantum Break, a sequel to Killer Instinct, even a sequel to Recore, and I hate that game. You know, he's delivered 0 sequels. And then the game that sort of, I guess you might say, the We Listened game is that terrible looking Battletoads game, right? Like, why is that Battletoads game even a thing? And it looks bad, and it looks so slow. And it's like, if you're gonna, have some kind of input on a team that's doing it. I understand that, like, Cuphead looks cool with the type of hand-drawn art style that they did, but I thought that the Battletoad looked so cool in Killer Instinct. Why not do something more realistic like that? Yeah, that was good. Yeah, so that's particularly my opinion on it. As you guys all hit the like button, I would appreciate it. Crap, it's way too easy to bash Microsoft due to the fact that Sony's taking chances with brand new AAA IP with the studios that we currently know, and yet Microsoft is scared to take the dive. Well, I don't know exactly what their plans are for the future, but I do know that a lot of Xbox fans are leaving, not only just for PlayStation, but I've seen a lot of Xbox fans leave for PC, and I get it. A lot of people will go, Microsoft don't care how you play their games. They'll take your money on PC, over here, over there, everywhere. It doesn't really matter to them. And the thing that I always say to that is, I understand that point of view, but Microsoft does lose out when you go to PC because you're no longer paying for Xbox Live Gold every year. You're probably not paying for Game Pass anymore. You're probably playing your games on Steam, which Microsoft gets 0% from. Now, you might pick up Game Pass for $1 when an exclusive comes out that you want, or you might pay them $60 so they do get something there. But they're also losing out on the 30% of every multi-platform game, the 30% that they would get for, all of the microtransactions and stuff like that they would normally get. So yeah, they lose out quite a bit to people who end up switching to PC and stuff like that. So don't kid yourself into thinking that they don't lose anything. They obviously lose quite a bit. And again, it's just something that people like to kind of cover for Xbox no matter what happens. Like, I see people praising this Outer Worlds Metacritic thing. It's like it's a multi-plat. And didn't you guys say you didn't care about Metacritic, but you're cheering this one because it was made by an Xbox developer, and so 5 years from now you might get a decently rated exclusive? Like, how is that something to cheer? You know you've had a really lackluster generation when that's the case. And so that's the point that I would make. It's like you got people cheering and saying one thing and then doing the other. Okay? Like, for me personally, I just think it's a little bit kind of funny the way that people don't care about Metacritic, but hey, when an Xbox game studio makes a game and it scores well, let's all praise it, which I'm fine with that, because I think doing good scores is cool. I think getting good scores is really cool. But at the same time, you've got to be able to have those exclusives as well, something that really kind of appeals to a lot of people, and Microsoft has really kind of failed at that. And unfortunately, who knows if they'll be able to ever recover, you know what I mean? Just in my opinion anyway. So I'm going to answer some more questions and stuff like that. Neverland says, do you think Outer Worlds is going to flop sales-wise? I think it'll do okay, but going up against Call of Duty, man, that's really going to be bad. Matthew says, did you try xCloud yet? I didn't get an invite to xCloud, so no. Enrico Kitchen says, exactly, that's why console sales matter. 100%. Console sales matter. Sales of games matter. All that stuff matters tremendously because that's how you get a sequel. That's how you get more of something. Did you watch the Inside Gaming video a while ago praising Phil Spencer? No, I don't watch much YouTube. You know what I mean? Nine Live says, Pitch Black, Microsoft buying these studios and helping them grow within. We'll talk about that. I mean, maybe. I guess it depends on what they put out. Like, you got to show me stuff. Here's the thing that I'll say. Microsoft continually says we have no input, creative input on these games, blah, 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 right? No, my Nine Lives, my whole argument is not about Metacritic, but Metacritic is an indication of quality, right? My argument is always quality and the level of game, right? Like the AAA stuff. So Microsoft has lacked quality. I don't think anybody can deny that. The quality just isn't there. The thing that I would say is that Microsoft really has to break that trend of getting those low-rated games, because that's what's in people's minds, right? They see these low-rated games continually in their mind, and at the end of the day, that's not helping anything. That's something that, you know, a lot of people tend to sort of have a problem with. And when you look at like Nintendo or PlayStation, they don't have that fear when you see them announce games, right? Like, everybody's like, oh wow, that looks really good, it's going to be good. When it comes to Xbox stuff, everybody's optimistic, right? Oh, well, maybe it'll be good, I don't know. You know, like, weren't we all optimistic with Crackdown 3? I mean, yeah, 5 years in development and that's the best we got. Like, that's a problem. That's a problem. We were promised the power of the cloud and all this kind of stuff, and what did we get? We got a game where the multiplayer died out 2 weeks after launch. You couldn't even play with your friends in a lobby. You couldn't even form a lobby. So, yeah, there was a lot of problems there. And again, I really do feel like Microsoft has a lot to atone for, and hopefully they can do that. I hope that they can get back on the right path, because lately I've kind of lost I've kind of lost my my love for Xbox in general. Did I think Rise was not quality or Sunset? I thought Sunset Overdrive was. I didn't think Rise was quality. I thought it had a good story, but obviously that game was rushed for the launch of the Xbox One. It had really good graphics and a good story, but the gameplay was real repetitive. All the enemies looked the same, like the repetitive enemies. That's almost unacceptable to me. Hey, everybody, hit the like button. I would really, really appreciate it. Over 100 likes now. We can get much more than that. Maybe we can get to 150 by the time I end this. I would definitely appreciate that as well. Nine Live says Crackdown 3 was still part of old Xbox. What's old Xbox, dude? Because as far as I can tell, Phil Spencer was like, hey, you know what? This plays like Crackdown. It's good. Like, he said it was good. So yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. Like, Phil Spencer was head of Xbox still. He was the one that greenlit that game. So I don't know if I buy into that. Hold on. Tony Brennan says, when do Call of Duty reviews go up? I'm not sure. I think probably soon, right? Randy Russell says, you're a bum, Crap Gamer. Drop a link for your source. I'll wait. I forgot you never leave those. It's actually right down there, and I always leave a source. It's right in the description. Source, it's the WCCF Tech article. So, yeah. Crackdown had a hit on... Crackdown was just really bad. The power of the cloud and all that kind of stuff. Who didn't put hundreds of hours into that multiplayer, dude? Right? Like crazy. Listen, I tried. I wanted to really play some of the multiplayer. Here's the problem. They made all these promises about the multiplayer, right? Oh, you're going to be able to play, and you're going to be able to do this, and then you weren't able to actually play with your friends, first of all. Second of all, they did it in such a weird way that the time limit was so short that there was hardly any destruction in the world to begin with, right? Like originally when they showed it off, it was this huge open world, and everything was destructible and stayed on the ground, and you could tear down these buildings and stuff. And then when you actually got the chance to play the game, they were over in a couple minutes, and there was hardly any destruction whatsoever. So they never really got it to live up to potential, even though it launched like 6 years or 5 years after they initially made all those promises. So yeah, there was a huge problem there, and a lot of people take issue with it, and I can totally understand that because I took issue with the game. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that kind of happened, and hopefully something can really wake Microsoft up. I hope we never get another Crackdown game. Again, I don't feel like that franchise has such a bad legacy tied to it, right? Like it just does. It's like people have a bad taste in their mouth for that game, and I'm just not sure that it's ever gonna be forgotten about or washed away or anything like that. So yeah, I just, again, I think that it's something that that's really, really Microsoft should probably just avoid, just completely avoid it. Just my opinion, completely avoid that situation, because I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to work out well for them. I'm going to answer some more questions, and then I'm going to get out of here. No Russian says, I think Matt Booty knows what it takes to make at least a halfway decent game. Phil don't know anything. Yeah, listen, I'll say this. Like, I always thought it was weird that Phil Spencer was greenlighting games like Voodoo Vince Remake or Crackdown 3 or these type of games that he likes. Like, that never made sense to me. Why is it the games that you like, Phil? Why not games that your fans will like, right? He didn't like Alan Wake. He didn't like, apparently he wasn't a big fan of Quantum Break. So, like, but it doesn't really matter what he likes. To me, it's all about what the fans like and things like that. So I never really understood that. He said stupid stuff like, Scalebound being canceled was good for gamers, and he never really gave a reason behind the Fable being canceled, even though he was head of game studios when that game started production. Like, there was so many things. Sonic says Xbox Scarlet does have a head start backwards compatibility, while PS5 also has backwards compatibility. Many existing Xbox owners may not be willing to abandon 19 years of Xbox investment. Well, here's the thing. This generation is the worst one to lose. And the reason why I say that is your controllers and your digital games are all going to go with you. There's probably going to be 120 million PS4 owners by the time the PS5 comes out. Those people aren't going to abandon their games. There's going to be 50 million probably Xbox One owners. I feel like they're going to be much more apt to abandon Xbox, especially if Sony can pull off some of the stuff that they're rumored to, like maybe even backwards compatibility with older generations and stuff like that. Really kind of just depends on what these companies want to do and what they're able to achieve. So, hold on. I saw a good question. LMNOP says, I still don't know why Microsoft can. Scalebound's had an established Japanese studio making a AAA exclusive for your brand. So apparently, the reason why, there's multiple rumors, but I'm going to guess with probably the main one being that they were invested $75 million into that game, and there was no microtransactions and no online for it. So how do you make your money back off that? Selling a Japanese game to mostly an American audience that typically doesn't buy those games. So they had to cut their losses, I guess, and, you know, sort of what it. Matthew B says, if Halo Infinite is a letdown, I'll buy a PS4. Hey, I hear you. Billy says, Red Faction had much better destruction than Crackdown. They really did. They really did. Cross Zaber says, how many of PS4 owners do you think prioritize power over quality exclusives? I don't know. I think I am more about the exclusives than the power stuff. I thought power was kind of a stupid thing to argue about from the beginning, and I still think that. As long as you can play the game and there's not a bunch of problems, I think it's all good. Phil inherit Don Matrix mess. Dude, you do realize that Phil was sitting there in those meetings agreeing to all the stuff that Don Matrix had to say, right? All the stuff that Microsoft had to say, the DRM, all that stuff, which all that stuff is coming back, by the way. But Phil okayed all of it. That's the thing that you have to understand. Like, Phil Spencer apparently was completely cool with all of this stuff. So, let's see. But crap, Mark already said the PS5 solid-state drive will be faster than anything out here. Listen, we've seen the PS5 solid-state drive. I've already said this. I have no doubt that Microsoft has their own solid-state drive, but in particular, we've already seen the PlayStation 5 solid-state drive work, and no load time for Spider-Man, which has notoriously long load time. So, I'm very excited for that. One Typical says, people should be concerned for Halo Infinite. Microsoft is going on a streak when it comes to ruining franchises. I agree 100%. Dorian Johnson says, scalebound on multiplayer and customizable outfits and dragons. Well, it had co-op, but not exactly like multiplayer. And do we even know if it had outfits and dragons? Like, yeah, it had dragons, but how are they going to monetize that? Like, that's going to be a problem. Cake Batter says, I tried to play Crackdown 3 multiplayer, and after 15 minutes waiting for a match, I gave up. There's nobody on that game anymore. Social Join says, there's only 150 million console gamers in the world. Microsoft have 50. Sony will get 100 something, and the rest will go to Nintendo. I don't think we hit 150 million console gamers. Dude, I think you're kind of wrong, because if you look at last generation, the Wii was at 100 million, the PlayStation 3 was at 90 million, and the Xbox 360 was at 90 million. So there's hundreds of millions of console gamers out there. Let's see. Cruel Wrath says, here's a twist. What if Scalebound was only canceled for this generation? It was going to be released for next generation. No, look, that game, unfortunately, you guys know what bad juju is, right? So Duke Nukem is bad juju. Okay, Scalebound is bad juju. Just the name associated with it is bad. Like, people don't want to be associated with it. So that's the problem that franchise has right now. Okay, like, people don't want to associate with it. They think that it's bad, and quite frankly, it is. It's like same thing with Crackdown. Even if they came out and completely rebooted Crackdown, it probably would score poorly because people have that bad taste in their mouth. Listen, do you see what they did to God of War? They completely overhauled it, right? They, like, even though people might not say it's a reboot, they basically changed everything about it. And they brought it up to date with gameplay, story, cinematics, all that. They brought it up to date, okay? Microsoft hasn't really done that with their franchises. Like, Gears of War is a good example. That franchise with those tank controls is very much an old school last gen thing. Crackdown is the same way. Crackdown came out, 10 years ago, and nothing much changed aside a new coat of paint on the graphics. And that's unfortunate because you've got to update your series, you got to update your games. You can't just make them prettier and expect them to keep on selling. Halo is the same way. It needed something more. Exactly. Crackdown is bad juju. I 100% agree with this. Everybody hit the like button. I would appreciate it. Also, you know what? I want to bring this up real quick, and I usually don't bring up this kind of stuff, but I would really like to play the new Call of Duty game on Xbox. You can play with me and Mooch if somebody wants to game gift me that MOH space Crapgamer. I don't like e-begging or whatever, but if somebody wants to do that, I would appreciate it, and you're more than welcome to join us to stream it or whatever. It comes at a bad time of the month for me with a lot of bills and stuff coming up. Other than that, I'll have to wait like a week or so before I can get it, but you guys have been incredible. If somebody does want to do that, fine. If not, don't worry. If you want to support the channel, all I ask for is a like. Realistically, that's all you have to do, which helps the channel reach new people, and with algorithms and stuff like that, it really does help out. And that's basically it, man. If you really, really want to help out, feel free to become a member of the channel, there's some perks and stuff like that that you get in there as well. With that being said, I do have some stuff that I have to do this afternoon, so I will catch you guys later. Maybe tomorrow would be Xbox Nation, might be coming back. I think it is, so be on the lookout for that, and we'll catch you guys next.